So, if this is your first encounter with me and what I teach about, I highly encourage you to check out all of the resources that I have available, which you can do at erinfurtado.com. And if you follow me at EBF, Holistic Wellness, on Instagram, the links are in the bio section there. I'm saying this because what I've been finding to be more and more true over the years is how foundational our light environment is, and the resources that I put together specifically talk about that. So, our light environment constantly sends signals to the body. Signals that can either promote coherence, vitality, metabolic health, or push the body towards chaos and dis-ease. And what I want to focus on here is a very specific and increasingly well documented phenomenon called ALAN, which is an acronym for artificial light at night, and how it's now being recognized as a primary contributor to obesity, metabolic dysfunction, diabetes, which means blood sugar dysregulation. So, this matters deeply because most people think about changing how their body looks or feels is really focused just on nutrition and exercise. I see this firsthand in the clinic that I work in, working with individuals that are coming in for specifically for weight loss. And while those absolutely matter, they are not the full picture. So there are other environmental inputs that can override even the best dietary choices, and light is one of the most powerful. Weight loss and metabolic health cannot be reduced to diet and exercise alone. Okay. Light on the skin and eyes during the day and darkness at night are foundational signals that shape hormone function, insulin sensitivity, and fat metabolism. So when we restore those signals, the body often responds far more better. The body's far more better at responding. I guess a better way to say it. So this isn't about doing more. It's about aligning with how human biology actually works. So what is ALAN and why does it matter, right? So artificial light at night refers to any exposure to non-natural light after sunset. And this includes screens in front of the face while trying to unwind, lighting inside the home in the evening, light sources inside the bedroom during sleep, and light entering the bedroom from outside the home. What research is now confirming is that this exposure is not benign. Circadian misalignment caused by artificial light at night has measurable negative effects on psychological, cardiovascular, metabolic, and even cancer-related outcomes. So one major literature review, which examines this topic with over 85 different research articles, found consistent associations between ALAN exposure and disruptions in metabolic function, including obesity and insulin resistance. So this isn't theoretical anymore. It's actually observable at the population level. There are studies that specifically examine artificial light at night as it relates to obesity, and these include large-scale population studies that confirm what we've been seeing in controlled research and cohort studies. Artificial light at night is a contributing factor to excess body fat accumulation in humans. So what's important to understand is that ALAN is studied in a few different ways. One category of research looks at outdoor artificial light, so things like street lights, porch lights, floodlights, urban light population, and how that light enters the home and bedroom at night. So think about, if your neighbors have a very bright porch light on, or the people who have lampposts in their front yard. One of those people. So those all can get into the window and disrupt you at night. Another category of research looks at indoor artificial light exposure, such as sleeping with the television on, bright alarm clocks, night lights, illuminated electronics in the bedroom. So those tiny little blue lights, red lights, whatever they are, that seem very insignificant are actually not. And those studies show similar outcomes. So whether the light is coming from outside the home or inside the home, the body is going to respond the same way. Circadian disruption with downstream metabolic consequences. So what is the underlying mechanism here? One major factor is melatonin suppression. And I think most people think of melatonin as the sleep hormone, right? But it's not just a sleep hormone. It actually is a regulator of nighttime repair processes. So it governs critical processes such as autophagy, which breaks down and recycles damaged cellular components, apoptosis, which clears unhealthy cells that could otherwise divide uncontrollably. It is a whole antioxidant defense system. Also, metabolic regulation and insulin sensitivity. So when melatonin is suppressed, these repair pathways cannot run properly. Artificial light at night also inappropriately surges steroid hormones at times that they should be low, and this is going to lead to widespread hormone imbalance. So, particularly relevant for those with things like PCOS or hormone driven metabolic dysfunction. So, without adequate melatonin and proper circadian signaling, the body is pushed further toward a state of disease, psychologically, metabolically, cardiovascularly, and oncologically. So, this is why research also shows associations between ALAN exposure and hormone driven cancers, as well as gestational diabetes, which can have lifelong metabolic implications for the developing baby. One of the most important things to understand is that not all light is equal. The wavelength of light that most strongly suppresses melatonin is blue light. Historically, humans were exposed to things like firelight, candlelight, kerosene lanterns, and then there was early incandescent bulbs. These light sources contain little or no blue light. Incandescent bulbs, which, while they're not perfect, closely mimic sunset and firelight, and were far less disruptive to nighttime physiology. The major shift occurred with the widespread adoption of LED and fluorescent lighting, which emits large amounts of blue light and can suppress melatonin by 80% or more. So this is compounded by the fact that artificial light is now everywhere, indoors, outdoors, all night long. So we are rapidly approaching a point where true darkness at night is rare, even in residential areas. And I'll just kind of head back to that slide right here where it talks about that. So you can see in the late 50s to middle 70s to 1997 to 2025, there is barely any dark areas there. Now, another layer that often gets overlooked is how light enters the eyes. Overhead lighting mimics midday sun, so something our biology associates with activities like alertness, energy expenditure, but historically, nighttime light came from below eye level, like firelight, campfire, right? So this is why using table lamps instead of overhead lights at night is not just aesthetic, it actually changes how the light photons interact with the eyes and the brain. Candlelight shows virtually no melatonin suppression. Incandescent bulbs show modest suppression. Those compact fluorescents and LEDs show dramatic suppression. And that can be seen just on this back slide here. So you can kind of see LED, fluorescent, incandescent candles. Now, the goal here is not perfection, right? Nothing's perfect, but it's cultivating that awareness and mitigating those exposures. So some key strategies include blocking artificial light after sunset. So that would be wearing orange or red-tinted blue blockers. The yellow lenses are really insufficient for that. I am currently wearing yellow lenses because it's daylight still and I'm looking at a computer. So that's what these ones would be more for. But I have red-tinted ones for after sunset. Dimming the home in the evening is another strategy. Avoiding overhead lighting at night, using low blue or zero blue light bulbs, transforming screens to red at night when possible. So on Androids, there's an app that you can download. It's called Twilight. That'll change the screen red. And then on Apples, there is a setting that you can do. I'm still a dork with an Android, so I don't really know about the Apple, but I know there's a setting that you can do that. Also wanting to protect the bedroom with blackout curtains. So just making sure that you're covering all the spaces where any sort of light can enter through. Sealing light leaks around the curtains. and covering those small LEDs with black tape or little black stickers. So even on like computers, if you have a computer, which I know wouldn't have a computer in the bedroom, but if you do, anything, those little lights, again, seemingly insignificant, are actually affecting the brain. So a simple guideline that you can use is if you can see your hand clearly a foot in front of your face in the bedroom at night, it's too bright. So artificial light at night may look harmless, but it is one of the most powerful environmental disruptors of modern metabolism. And when people understand this, they stop blaming themselves for not working hard enough or not restricting enough or not exercising enough. And, they start to really work with their biology instead of against it. So I hope this really drives the point home that it's not just about diet and exercise. The conversation really has to be shifted to understanding light. As a nutrition therapist, I've been saying more and more over these last few years that our light environment is actually more important than what we're eating. So when we understand light, sunlight on the skin and how that can help our metabolic function, and then blocking the artificial light at night and how that can also enhance our metabolic function, that's where the conversation needs to be. And again, I have a ton of resources to dive further into this. So definitely check that out over at my website. Feel free to message me, email me if you'd like more information on that.